What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lettermen Row, and welcome into the Indianapolis Convention Center, Lucas Oil Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Andy Backstrom, Spencer Holbrook. It is the NFL Combine Report presented by Buyers Auto. It is day one of the NFL Combine over here in Indianapolis. We are in the media room, Radio Row, all 32 teams present, a lot of radio, a lot of GMs, a lot of coaches, college personnel, and by the way, potential first-round pick Zach Harrison spoke this morning before Lettermen Row arrived, but he had a lot to say, Andy. This is a guy, I'm not going to really belabor the point, this is a guy who has a lot to prove here. I think Zach Harrison knows where his mindset should be. He's ready for the meeting rooms. He's ready for the on-field work, and I think he's going to get it done here at the Combine. That's why he was my bold prediction. What do you think of Zach Harrison entering this week?
Well, he said today, the most important part of his Ohio State career was really being named captain for this past season. And, he proved a lot on the field, but he also proved that there's a lot to be still shown from him.
Yep.
Had a lot of potential coming out of high school, and at times flashed that at Ohio State, but so many times was so close to either a sack, a TFL, or a big play that could have helped Ohio State. Still had a great career there, led the team in pressures this past year with 33. But I think from an NFL standpoint, you're looking to see him finish on more of those plays, see some of the speed that he has coming off the edge. And I think this should be an important time for him to show maybe why he can reach that point at the next level.
Yeah, you look at the past Ohio State defensive linemen, you're looking at Draymond Jones, who didn't have the production as much in college, comes to the NFL, is really good for the Denver Broncos. By the way, the Denver Broncos, Jonathan Cooper, nice productive first couple years there. Baron Browning really started to show flashes there, all three Broncos. Obviously, Chase Young and the Bosa speak for themselves. Zach Harrison was mentioned among those guys his entire college career. Never quite got to that level, but I don't think he needed to. You look at the run stuffing numbers, the advanced numbers that you love, those run stuffing numbers, they favor Zach Harrison. He had a lot of pressures. I think he had 24 quarterback hurries for Ohio State this year. It was always a split second too late. Stetson Bennett bringing him to the ground against Georgia on that very last drive. Oh, so close to getting a strip sack and ending that game in Ohio State's favor. Maybe he's wearing a national championship ring in here. And those are the kind of things that he takes responsibility for. He's a really mature guy. He said today from the transcript that he wants to ace the meeting room. He doesn't care what he does on the field. He wants these teams to learn the kind of person he is and make the assessment. I've been around him for 4 years, a little bit for the better part of 5. If he aces the on-field stuff like he should, he has a chance to be a first-round pick because he's going to be really impressive in those meetings. He's a really well-spoken person. He knows what he's talking about. He's smart. He knows the game really well. I just think he's going to be really impressive, and that's why I think he could talk himself into those first 31 picks in the first round.
Yeah, and even though he was so close and missed on a few of those sacks, he did have other plays this season and throughout his career that were game-changing. Look at the Maryland game on the road, a game that Ohio State was in danger of losing. End of that game, back-to-back sacks, strip sack, fumble recovery, touchdown, game over.
Yep.
I mean, that's just one instance on the road, a must-have game. You can't drop a game when they eventually lost to Michigan right after that. So he has shown up at times, and he definitely has all the talent. It's putting it all together, and that's what a week like this is for, is to show that you can do that at the next level.
Measurables, he's going to be fantastic. I think that wingspan is going to really show. His arms are so long and powerful. You talk about the height, 6'4", 6'5", 270, 280, depending on where he focused his gains or his losses in combine prep. These guys love to fluctuate their weight to make sure that they're right where they want to be, down to the pound, almost like a wrestling kind of regimen to get these guys where they want to be. The height, the weight, the wingspan, the 3-cone, like the 40, he was a great sprinter in high school. I think he's really going to be impressive on the field. And that, again, I hate to keep beating this drum, but that's why I think this is the start of the biggest week of his life. And I think he's probably got more to gain this week than anyone else. We already know Paris Johnson, CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba, those guys are first-round picks. They're going to be. It's known by now. Then you talk about Zach Harrison and Dawand Jones. Those two are the guys. And so they really headline this group, in my opinion, of guys who need to have good weeks and will have good weeks. We talk about Zach. Dawand is in that same category as we preview the Combine here on the NFL Combine Report presented by Buyers Auto. Dawand has a huge week in front of him, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely, because Dawand has all the measurables. 6'8", 375 pounds, shows up to the Senior Bowl and kind of takes everyone that didn't know about him surprised. You know, he really just showed out that first day, second day, but then he got hurt, didn't end up playing in the game in Mobile. And I think really people want to see more of that. Can he be a guy that is durable? Can he be a guy that has not only the speed but the physicality? We know he has the physicality. Can he stop the speed off the edge? And I think that's just going to be the big thing for him this week. Yes, we see the measurables, but can he be a starter at tackle in the NFL? And I think there's still some questions about him and maybe the longevity of that. But I think he's got a lot to prove, and he has a chance to slip into that first round along with Paris Johnson.
Yeah, this is an interesting group of Ohio State players. It's guys who, you know, let's be honest, if you weren't on the roster in 2019, which C.J. Stroud, Paris Johnson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, that's the last group to play in Lucas Oil Stadium for a Big Ten title. No, 2020 they played for it, but a lot of these guys didn't contribute in that game. 2021 they lose to Michigan, don't make it here. 2022 they don't make it because they lost to Michigan. This is a group that's one of the most talented groups Ohio State could have possibly sent over here, but it's a group that, you know, we're usually talking to them about winning Big Ten championships and you know, all of those accolades, and this group doesn't have it. But again, it might be one of the most talented groups I've seen come over here to Indianapolis. When you talk about the top end talent, like the floor of this group, really, like a Ronnie Hickman, if you even call him the floor, he was the leading tackler on this team a couple years ago. Like, this is a really deep group. For being 8 players, I think this is an impressive group of Buckeyes, and all 8 of them, I think, have a lot to prove. You know, even C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Paris Johnson, they're not the first guy off the board, according to a lot of these experts in this room. Every single one of them has a lot to prove this week.
Yeah, I mean, start with C.J. Stroud, right? This is a guy that, yes, he should be a top 5 pick, but most likely there's going to be a team trading up for him. And so you got to prove to that team that you are that guy to give up compensation for, to go and get you, not just to fall to you in the top 5. So whether it's, you know, the Texans or the Colts or, you know, any of these teams, maybe even the Panthers, to go up and try to get a guy like C.J. Stroud, you have to show them in the meeting rooms, you have to show them on field. He's throwing, or at least is supposed to be throwing this week. That's more than Bryce Young will be doing, and that's really the 1-2 competition for that number 1 overall pick, that top quarterback spot. So that's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of top-end talent in this draft at quarterback. Maybe there isn't that one guy. There's not the Trevor Lawrence, there's not the Andrew Luck or the Joe Burrow. So there's really this opportunity for a guy like C.J. Stroud to show that he can be the top guy.
Yeah, these 2 quarterbacks kind of remind me of the year, and I don't want to I'm not equating the talent at all, but it kind of reminds me of the Mariota and Jameis Winston year. I think it was the 2015 draft where, okay, Mariota's going number 1. No, Jameis Winston's going number 1. No, this team's going to trade back, and then neither of them are going to go number 1. Well, the Bears hold all the cards here. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, this isn't a draft preview. This is a combine show. But, like, the competition between Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud is going to be a fascinating one, especially after they step on that scale. Everyone knows the height that Bryce Young has, and I don't think people are too worried about the height given his talent level. The weight has to be what worries you, and when C.J. Stroud steps on that scale and is 220 to 225 pounds, I would say maybe even 215 on the low end, and you see Bryce Young at 195 pounds, that's where I think the questions come in, and that's where you could see C.J. really make his move to become the number 1 overall pick in this draft if the Bears choose to trade down, which I think they will. So all of that is to say, this draft has so many storylines, and they all start here in Indianapolis this week. I'm really excited to get the coverage started at LettermenRow.com at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great week, really for guys to solidify where they can go in that draft. You also have their pro day that will happen later this month, and that'll be another chance for them to improve on the numbers or stand by the numbers they have here at the Combine, and also just to show different avenues of their play. So we'll see how it goes, but there's 8 guys here that are trying to really make a mark. This is a big moment for their careers.
Ronnie Hickman, Cameron Brown on Thursday, Jackson Smith and Jigba, C.J. Stroud on Friday, and then the offensive lineman, Luke Whippler, who we didn't even mention in this show. Huge week ahead of him. Paris Johnson, Dawand Jones, all 3 of those guys will talk on Saturday. Lettermen Row will have full coverage of the NFL Combine here from Indianapolis at LettermenRow.com and on the Lettermen Row YouTube channel. Come check us out at LettermenRow.com, that YouTube channel, and on the Lettermen Lounge message board, where we'll be updating you on the Buckeyes all week long. Thanks to Buyers Auto for sponsoring the video. We will see you guys back in Indianapolis for another breakdown of the NFL Scouting Combine at LettermenRow.com. Find that tomorrow.